Welcome back to another part of Vile's playthrough, and I'm here to discuss some vile business practices. So, did you hear the news about Konami?
No, actually.
They're celebrating Castlevania's anniversary with, and
Oh,
think you can
pachinko
guess.
machine?
No, with NFTs.
Oh,
They're God in Sweden, man. I don't just like why. Like the only thing I can hold on to in this, which is the most basics, which is basically the most basic thing, is the fact that um Sega was like, yeah, no, we're not doing that.
it's funny. My thoughts on NFTs and companies doing them. My main thought is, are they aware it's a get rich quick scheme, or do they actually think it's the future? Are they just trying to cash in, or do they think games will transition towards this sort of thing? Because mobile, they thought mobile was the future, right? And
Yeah.
clearly it wasn't. But for NFTs, I'm not sure.
Well,
Because I
it
do
was
get
for a short era, but it was like a short enough era that investing in it wholeheartedly without something that already made for its design would have been a bad idea.
Well, I wouldn't even say it was, because instead of saying it was, I just say those smart people got in early. And so they could benefit from the boom bust. And now it's probably too. Maybe, who knows, maybe in 10 years after all of this crashes, it'll just be in a very limited capacity used in some way. But the entire thing as it is right now is definitely. Well, I mean, I guess I don't know anything, but I think I know enough to say that this is probably not going to go anywhere.
Well, it's still in the point where we can just sit and laugh about it and also be like, wow, Square Enix, your most popular game is about an evil corporation stealing energy from the planet, and yet you're also putting out NFTs.
Yeah,
It's like if
but
it
that's
if,
the thing.
if it weren't so destructive, it'd be great to just follow this up with memes and leave it at that.
Cause that's the thing. When they say that this is the future, NFT gaming is the future, it should be taken with the context that they said that mobile game was the future and went into that for years. And they said live services was the future and went into that for years. And they said loot boxes were the future and went into that for years. And
You say that like that's still not happening right now.
well, I mean, loot boxes are pretty much out of fashion. They always have to be. I think right now, there's still games with loot boxes, but I think mostly they're now just cosmetic microtransactions. Even game-breaking microtransactions are seemingly out of favor now. It's just cosmetic, which still has its own problems. But yeah, so loot boxes and mobile both lost. We're kind of drifting away from live services right now. I'm sure they're still gonna keep doing it, but people are realizing again that people like single player games. So with all of that in mind, take what they say about NFTs with a grain of salt.
Look, we'll learn when the start of the new era is when Digimon Re-Arise finally. Oh, not Digimon Re-Arise. Digimon Survive finally gets made.
Oh, is there a special? Are you just saying?
No, it's because Digimon Survive has been delayed like 4 times now, and us Digimon fans are just sitting here waiting for any amount of news. And it's at this point where when it actually does come out, it will be a milestone because we've just been at this for so long.
Well, I mean, most of the games that the legendary will never come out games have come out. Kingdom Hearts 3 came out. Final Fantasy VII Remake came out. Breath of the Wild was one for a brief amount of time. What else is there? I know there's a bunch, but I don't remember them right now. But I know the only ones that are left. The main one, Beyond Good and Evil 2, that's still the oldest one I think everyone's waiting for.
Speaking of it, at least in this case, the person who's doing the Digimon story games, which are a separate part of the franchise, isn't like, we'll see when I'll immediately get to it once Digimon Survive gets out. Like they tried with Rayman, and then that whole Rayman creator scandal happened, and now we don't know what's happening.
Right. Actually, speaking of that, Beyond Good and Evil is probably the second most famous, waiting for something else to come, because I think the most famous is Mega Man Legends officially cancelled or just indefinitely delayed?
I'm pretty sure it's officially cancelled.
Okay, well maybe strike that one off then. So yeah, Beyond Good and Evil 2. But now there's Digimon Arise, Digimon Exercise,
Digimon Survive.
Right. And there was one more on my mind, GTA 6, which I hear is in development hell.
Well, they're too busy trying to understand how their own assets work.
Clearly. And so we'll see how that's going.
Okay, Launch Octopus, just stay there and shoot the missiles that I'm constantly shooting down. Just make this even easier for me. Oh, okay, this was a problem. And this is showing the rare Launch Octopus health sucking, the health draining thing. And it's like, really? It was just enough to make me eat my words.
Yeah.
At least, wait, if this is part 4, then that means that that it's either this part or the next part that's going to be a disaster, as per our usual.
Yes, I guess we'll see. But it did take us 3 times to start the episode.
Yeah, but that's nothing. That's poultry compared to some of the stuff we've been through.
Right. That's very true.
I still have no idea how that thing that made us sound super masculine happened.
We changed our underwear.
Wouldn't that imply that we haven't done so?
Alright. I mean,
we grew facial hair.
Right, that makes more sense. How did I remember the underwear line, not the facial hair line?
Oh man! Oh, by the way, did you watch the SpongeBob Theory stuff?
That you posted?
No. The ones where they talk about like how Goofy Goober is secretly an alien cult and.
Oh no! I saw like 10 minutes into Skin Theory, and then that's pretty much it.
Oh, it was that a conscious choice?
Nah, kind of just. I was just like, this is a long video. I want the time where I can sit down and watch the whole thing.
Honestly, I'd say like a lot of the videos are absolute gold. My ex actually tried to get me into the Skin Theory one at the first point, and it sounded so ridiculous. But like, there's a certain point where in each video, for some odd reason, where you just sit there and it's like, yeah, but like at minute 10 or so, he provides enough evidence or a damning enough string of evidence that you're like, darn it, he's onto something and I hate it.
Is it all from the same person?
Yes.
Oh, so he's just knows how to just string up a story out of SpongeBob. He just watches the show enough to be able to do that.
Yep, even the newest episodes, cool. where there apparently there are a lot of callbacks in the newest episodes.
Yeah, I've seen people hate on that, but no, I love the idea of SpongeBob having consistent lore. I love when they bring back the Sea Bears, and just why not? There's no downside.
Yeah, and Nosferatu. We can't forget Nosferatu.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen the episode. That might be a little okay. Maybe you guys are going a little overboard with the callbacks. That was so. I mean, it's so. I wouldn't say iconic, but it's like that's such a specific thing to call back. So maybe that one might be. But I haven't seen the episode, so I won't be able to say. But yeah, for the most part, like bringing back Doodle Pop, bringing back for an episode, bringing back Bubbly, Mr. Bubble.
First,
Buddy.
okay, okay. Firstly, you called him Doodle Bop. Why? Why did you do that?
Okay, Doodle Bob. What's Doodle Bob is a kid's show, I think.
Yeah,
So yeah.
I think it's like that. So, but
Yeah, I'm
anyways,
fine with bringing those people back. Perfectly fine. So,
it's
Old
just.
Man Jenkins.
I mean,
Perfect.
everyone loves Old Man Jenkins. He doesn't want to be a burden.
Yeah, and I love. I need to. I haven't seen so many. I think the most recent one I saw was the Narwhal one because it's like, oh, they're actually bringing Camp Krusty characters. I know the
They
show's not called Camp Krusty, but whatever. Camp Coral characters into the main show. And it's like, oh, the
well,
episode's fine.
there is an
It seems
episode.
like
It's this is kind of part of the what is it? Part of the lore about the Goofy Goober alien cult thing. But there is an episode where there's somebody purple called Squidina. And like we don't see exactly what race she is because she's in the costume. But like that's the name of Patrick's canonical adopted little sister. Because we're not going to talk about Sam because that happened, and I know they don't want to acknowledge it, but they made it, and they need to stick by it.
who's Sam?
It was like in season 7 episode where they revealed that Patrick had a big sister who was even dumber than he was, but like really strong.
Yeah, that sounds like a very lame plot. But
Yeah, but
I
the thing
noticed.
that gets me is that in the Something Smells episode, Patrick during his rant, Patrick very specifically says, "I don't. Oh wait, I don't have a sister," meaning that that not even can you making Squidina not only makes that not make sense anymore, but Sam they already did that with Sam, and it's like
Yeah,
sure you can
he forgot
say
two sisters.
exactly. Just like, listen, man. I know that's like a throwaway line, but it's like the fact that I remember it to criticize it, and other people do. Just like you can't. I, I don't
The
know.
only thing I will say is certain shows, if like Fred appearance, if he said I don't have a sister, and then he got a sister and there was no explanation, I'd be like, yeah, that's this show has a lot of lore and character stuff. It's SpongeBob, so it's
Yeah,
hard for me to
and
even.
again, just like some people justify it by saying, well, it's Patrick, and like, yeah, but it's not. This doesn't seem like a normal attempt at Super Patrick stupidity. This was just the joke was that he was spiraling, and that was it. He wasn't saying wrong things.
You know, you could argue though, like if SpongeBob, and you were saying it's just SpongeBob, who cares? If SpongeBob took the time to explain why Sandy is in Camp Coral early, before she met them, right?
yes.
Then clearly they care enough about the lore that you could then argue, hey, what about this? If they just never cared about the lore, then it'd be silly. But once they start trying to explain something, then suddenly everything is worthy of being brought up. Especially
Well,
since the modern
again.
seasons are very consistent, because I was extremely surprised to see that Larry's gym is now just a regular location for the show. It wasn't just a one-off episode.
Oh, that's great. But
Because I randomly saw the Narwhal episode I was talking about, which I'll get to later on. And it's like, yeah, they just showed Larry's gym, and he was in the climax. I'm like, oh,
well,
okay.
there's an episode where SpongeBob is tasked with clearing out the lost and found for Mrs. Puff's boarding school, and
Sounds like a great concept, by the way.
yeah, and just like there's so much, so many things they hid in the background there of pertaining to so many episodes that I just like with the lores of so many characters, including her own by like showing the deranged driving teacher on the run, and it's showing older picture of Mrs. Puff, and just to go back with the thing about how Mrs. Puff isn't even her real name, and that she's had a previous boarding school, and that's another theory. Or the thing was, again, there's just so much that when the guy gets to it, he's like, okay, I'm sorry, I'm actually believing it. The only reason why I don't like the Goofy Goober theory is that it invalidates the message of the movie. It just it just makes it way more depressing. With just like, especially with him, just like, because he makes a very good point about how the themes of the movie being about going to adulthood, in the case of it being more obvious, with how the themes are presented, like how the scene with the frogfish, the thing that gets them to go to the frogfish in the first place is ice cream, and you know how obsessed they are, and the thing with the thug with the thug tug. If you look at the thug tug and the Goofy Goober restaurant boat, they're like the same.
Yeah.
So he crafts them. I of course don't want to go into fully into that, but like, there's just so much that is like, dang it, I can see something here, intended or not, and I just don't want to. This is the one where I just want to forget it because the message of the movie gets ruined because of it, and I just want to keep it. I just want to keep it.
I mean,
how it is.
The way these works, because clearly, I mean, some of them, maybe some of these things are like intentionally put, but clearly the things are like, death of the author. Here, you can come to this conclusion if you want, sort of thing. So I don't think necessarily you have to take any as gospel.
Well,
you
that's
can basically just look at the ones you like and be like, yeah, those make sense. And
well,
that's my headcanon.
That's just it. It's the thing is that, yes, I believe that, but there are some theories that it's like, wait a minute, they put this and this in here. Why would they go out of their way to do that?
Oh yeah, I feel maybe it's something like Mrs. Puff at our previous boating school. That probably sounds like something that was intentionally put into the show.
So
just off the top of my head, I'm like, they probably put in references to that. I wouldn't be able to tell you any of them, but yeah.
Yeah, and it's weird how it's weird how they're giving the individual background characters like actual characters now, because
I really like that.
Because like they had an episode with SpongeBob helping out Miss Shell, and it's like, who knew she was named Miss Shell to begin with?
Who is Michelle?
No, Miss Shell. It's the
Miss
play on.
Shell.
Yeah, it's the old woman character who's blue and has white hair.
Okay, it's crazy how SpongeBob was like, yeah, I know that person.
So like, first you have Nat, and then the male, and just like Norton. When's Norton's time, indeed?
I think Norton was the first one.
Yeah, Norton.
Unless I'm mistaken.
Norton was the first one, I think, and then they went with Fred.
Man Jenkins.
Oh,
From like season 4 or wherever the SpongeBob could fly.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, that is true. But I didn't see him. But the thing is that he wasn't. That version of Old Man Jenkins wasn't so much a background character, more of a he's in the story kind of thing, and he's just happens to be important for this, rather than just like a reused character. But like, the thing is that, oh man, that reminds me, the SpongeBob Mysteries thing that the Nickelodeon channel made.
That's how I was thinking. Like, a lot of those are surprisingly good as well, and that's probably where he got inspiration.
It's like the one they did about Harold. The fact that he's a shark and he's like always the first to start something when he's around, or to do things violently, and just like, man, those really just those SpongeBob mystery episodes were great, just absolutely amazing. And
it's like The Simpsons, when you have that large background cast and you're aware of that background cast and you repeatedly use them, and so they kind of have a quote unquote rich story within the show, despite pretty much doing nothing, just from those background appearances.
It really does say a lot of about like certain shows' potential. Which I mean, not to say that newer shows can, but like, say for example, Disney's Descendants. I know nothing about that, but it's apparently a big thing. I still need to watch Tangled the series. I'm just like on half. I'm just like half deciding if I care enough to do so or not. I actually
I will
did.
say, we'll say your thing first.
I actually did start watching the Ghost and Molly McGee, and it's really nice. The only problem is that yes, it's like it's like an old 2000s show, but it has the issues of like the plots of the 2000 show or the morals usually require like lying or something very embarrassing happening, and it's just like I have to sit through that. And I don't want to. I never wanted to.
For me, my only problem is it's pretty much Phineas and Ferb. Like, yeah, a song every episode, it gets old for me.
But
I'm just like, oh,
the songs are
they're consistently good. But for
yes,
me,
but
I'm
they're
just
also
thinking,
short.
yeah, but even then, I'm just like, I'm trying to watch an episode, I forget that there's a song, and then suddenly a song just comes up, and I'm like, all right, and I'm just waiting. I was like, this sounds nice, but I'm just waiting for it to end.
I really
That's
don't
pretty much.
understand that at all.
It's not. It's much better in Molly McGee. Like I don't really, like it Phineas and Ferb. Like half the time there'd be jokes, and I'm like, no. There'd be someone who's singing extremely poorly for a joke, and I'm like, this is very uninteresting. And
Maybe
then
you've
there's
only just seen some of the because I saw that. Oh, by the way, the part's over. I saw that I saw a few later episodes and the songs were still great.
oh no, because that was my final point is then you get the legendary songs which are like this is all worth it. Like there's a platypus controlling me that's just beautiful. I didn't even say my SpongeBob thing, but next time.
Next time.